And is this the life that you want to live? Or is the life you're living the life you want to live? If I hadn't quit my job in 2009, I would be dead. And I wouldn't be here to share this story with you today. I joined Citigroup, or Citibank, as it was known at that time, on November 17th, 1980. And I joined as a management associate. It's one of the prestigious groups of students that they bring in every year or several times a year. I was just very, very thrilled and privileged and honored to be part of a group of young, bright minds, and they were from all over the world. I loved my job because I came in, as I said, as a management associate, and then after 29 and a half years, I had risen through the ranks to senior vice president. Every day that I got up out of my bed, I walked with a pep in my step, and I just dressed for success, to meet the demands of the job and to look the part in the job. So I felt I was on top of the world. Again, meeting brilliant people and just doing some amazing things. While at Citi, what I did was I mentored young people to tell them about life at Citi and coming to join us. I volunteered to work in different community groups that were sponsored by Citigroup. So I had a great life, particularly since I was a young black girl at that time who had been raised in rural Alabama in severe poverty. And when you're raised in poverty, sometimes you don't see your way out. So Citigroup was absolutely a blessing to me. And I have only great things to say about this company because it gave me a great life and it was able to help me take care of my family. So it really was a place where I never imagined, although I had dreamed of it. But after being in this company for 29, almost, it was about 28 years at that point, I became kind of restless. I kept thinking, is this really all it is? You know, you go to work, you come back home, you go to work, you come back home, you get an occasional 1 or 2 weeks vacation, and then you come back to work. That was my life. Or so I thought that was my life. And as I said, I started to becoming pretty restless in 2007 and 2008. And I would get to my desk and I just couldn't do the work like I had done. I had been fulfilled, but now, of course, the excitement had just evaporated from my life. There was no excitement. The way I used to hop out of bed and jump like I was going to a Zumba class or dance down the street till I got to my job, that wasn't happening anymore. My body started drowning. It felt like it was underwater and there was no way for me to get out because someone kept holding my head there. My body began to just pierce my soul. My body began to ache and I couldn't figure it out. I could hear piercing sounds when I sat at my desk every day and I kept wondering, what are these sounds? I don't know. It was piercing, but I don't know what was going on. And then I found that I used to be able to be strong for my family and be strong for my coworkers, be strong for my friends and those that I mentored. But now I could not even be strong for myself because I was feeble. My mind was going and I don't know what had happened to me. There was such a despondency in my soul and the hole was getting bigger and I didn't know how to close it. And every time I thought maybe I can close it, the hole was getting wider and wider to the point where I went into a real depression, a real illness. And while my soul was being attacked, now my body was fighting war. It was fighting, just trying to stay alive, It's one thing when your mind is attacked because now you can't think straight, but now the body is starting to fall apart as well. And one of the things that happened after, I had gone through this episode, I would just be sitting at my desk. And then one day, I sat there and I said, oh my God, I'm really getting sick. But I didn't get sick. I went on home that day. But I came back the next day. I was walking down Wall Street trying to get to my job, which was at the end of Wall Street. And at Wall Street and William Street, I just collapsed. Wall Street and Water Street, I just collapsed on the ground. And I tried to get up, but I couldn't get up. So there was a man who helped pull me up, and he said to me, I think maybe you tripped on your briefcase bag. But it didn't matter. I got up and I tried to walk on to work. But the closer I got to work, I could feel the pain in my foot. So I went on to my office, and one of my coworkers came and said, are you okay? And I said, I just fell outside, and now I'm beginning to feel the pain racing through my foot, raw pain racing through my foot. Now I'm beginning to feel the foot swell like a balloon, just grow so big. And by the time my coworker called to medical and got someone to bring a wheelchair to take me to medical, my foot and ankle has swollen so big. They took me down to Beekman Downtown Hospital, Lower Manhattan, and they said I had a broken foot. They wrapped it up, put me in a boot. I go home. I stay home for a couple of days, and then I go back to work because obviously it's just my foot. Go back to work, and then I'm sitting at my desk, and I'm having thunderous pains now in my chest. They're getting faster and faster as I'm sitting there. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to have a heart attack. So I needed to go to the ladies' room. So I called my admin and I said, could you come down and could you walk with me to the bathroom? I was so afraid I was going to die in that bathroom. And so we walked to the bathroom, came back, sat at my desk. Felt okay for a little while. And I was able to get through my work. And I go home and I'm okay. I felt okay. I was home. The next day I come to work. I'm getting the thunderous, this time it was much faster. I don't know if you ever felt like this, but it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good because you don't know what to do. You don't know what to do. So a few days later, I went to my doctor and she had me go through to the cardiologist and they didn't find anything wrong. And I'm back at my office. One day after work, I decided to go to a movie on 42nd Street. I went to the movie. I'm sitting there and about 10 minutes into the movie, I'm getting that sound again. I feel my heart racing. And it's racing a lot faster now. I'm like, what is going on? So I picked myself up and walked out that door and took a cab to the emergency room. They kept me there all night. They didn't find anything wrong. I went back to my primary care doctor and she sent me back to the cardiologist. So far podiatrist, so far the cardiologist. And then I go back to the office 2 days later. I'm fine. I'm doing my work. I don't want to ever slow down because I want to make sure my managers know I'm in for this. I'm in this for the long haul. And I didn't show all my sickness. I was just sick, my body. And then a couple of weeks later, I'm walking back to work again. After a long weekend, it's a Monday morning, I'm walking to work. I'm almost in the same spot. And I fall, and this time, I fell on the left knee and I cracked my knee. This time they did just take me to medical again, and they were able to wrap my knee, and I stayed at work. And a few days later, I went to my primary care doctor and told her what had happened. And she said, what I want to do is get you to see a neurologist because with you falling, breaking your foot, and now falling to crack your knee, I don't know if maybe it's vertigo or if you had a seizure. So we need to get you in to get you checked out. And I went to the neurologist. And now I'm just back and forth at all these doctors getting numerous 4 or 5 EEGs just to check my brain, and MRIs just to check my whole system to make sure I'm okay. They found nothing, nothing. And I'm beginning to wonder, is it really an illness or is it just a depression? And I knew I had gone into a deep depression. So my primary care doctor decided at that point that I was going on disability, and she would put in all the paperwork, and she did that. And they denied me disability. But I knew if I didn't go on disability and have time to get my head together, I would live. So I finally got on disability the middle of January, and I stayed on disability until around the middle of April. And while I was home, I had time to think about how I had allowed myself to get so ill. Why did I let the hate of a job or career sap all of my energy from me, keep me from progressing the way I needed to? But I had time to think about it. And I knew at that time I needed to do something differently when I got back to work. So I went back to work with, again, a pep in my step and walking hard, doing the work I needed to do. Wasn't sick, didn't feel ill or anything. My bosses always checked on me to make sure I was okay. And then one day, I decided rather than stay in and eat my lunch at the desk, I was going to go outside for lunch. It was a beautiful day in May. So I decided I was walking outside. And as I walked through those glass doors, I immediately felt the breeze just blaze across my face. And then I felt the sunshine light me up, just lighten my soul up. And I walked on up Broadway, up Wall Street. And as I was walking, I was just looking at the beauty of the buildings on Wall Street and imagining what people were doing in there. And then I get on up to the New York Stock Exchange. And I stood around and just gazed at that building because I knew that was the money center. And I walked on up to Broadway and Wall Street. Stopped on the corner, trying to decide to go south or to go north. To go south or to go north. And I saw the bookstore, Barnes & Noble. And I decided to go into Barnes & Noble bookstore. When I went in there, I had no intention. I just walked around. And as I was roaming around, I saw a table that had books that said 50%. And so I stopped by there. And I picked up a couple of books, pick this book up, turn a few pages, put that down, pick up another book, turn a few pages, put that down. And then my eyes glanced over and saw this little book by Parker J. Palmer. Sorry about that. Parker J. Palmer. And the title of the book was Let Your Life Speak. And I started turning the pages in that book. And this is what it looks like. And it says, listening for voice of vocation. And as I began to flip through this book, I kept saying, are you doing what you want to do? Let your truths guide you into what you should be doing. And I bought the book, and then I went back to my office, and I was busy, so I didn't have time to read the book. But at the end of the day, I knew I was going home, so I perched myself on the bed when I got home. I wanted to read that book. And I'll tell you, one of the things in that book, it says, this is the book, that really lit a fire under me, because it said, and I want to quote this, is the life I'm living the same as the life that wants to live in me? Is the life I'm living the same as the life that wants to live in me? And I thought, wow, I need to listen to my life. I need to listen to vocation. What I'm doing is not what I'm supposed to be doing. What I'm doing is not what brings me joy and happiness. So right away, I knew that I need to set a plan in motion. Now, I had already planned to retire at 55 years old, and I was getting very close to it. I had planned because I had saved, I had invested, and I had budgeted. So I knew my numbers looked pretty good, but I went back again because they were laying off so many people at Citigroup at that time, and I couldn't afford to take the chance. But my soul felt so energized already just by reading this book and just by listening to my voice and listening to my life speak and my heart speak to me. And so I realized that I could retire. And I went in and I talked to my managers, and they said, "We don't want you to leave, but if you want to leave, we have to respect your choice." And I retired on January 9th, 2009. January 9th, 2009. And I'll tell you, I've had very few sick days. As a matter of fact, the moment I said I was retiring, I felt miraculously healed. I felt whole again. I felt refreshed again. I felt energized again. Because you know what? I knew now that I was not going to do anything else that I didn't want to do. And what does my life look like now? I love my life. I've traveled. I've written 2 books, family kind of books. I have produced and co-hosted a cable TV show. I've reunited with a group of women whom I love dearly, my sorority sisters, and I am very active in the community. But what I want to say to all the people out there who feel you're stuck, you hate what you're doing, don't just up and go. Plan to go. Plan to go before you get sick. Plan to go before there's an attack on your mind and a war with your body, with your physical body. You don't want that to happen, because when that happens, something has to give, and you don't want it to be your life. I think that I have a new purpose in life. And that purpose for me is to go out there and tell young people to follow their dreams. Whatever that dream is. It may not be the dream your parents had for you, but follow your dreams. But be thoughtful about it. Don't just do something. Really sit and listen to your voice. Listen to vocation. See what speaks to your heart. See what speaks to your mind. And then I want to inspire young people also to make sure they go to school and get their education, because that is so important. Nothing is more important than getting your education. But remember this, money can't buy you happiness. Money can't buy you happiness. It bought me happiness for a while, but in the end, it brought me devastation. But now that I've arrived again, and now that my soul is so full, I want to go out and I want to share this message that you can do something that you love and it will pay you money. I'm not getting paid to go out and do speeches at this point. That is not my goal. But my goal is to go out and share this message with people, that you can love what you do and get paid for it. And you can be passionately about what you do. So I had to die to live. I had to die to live. Don't ever, ever, ever get to that point where you feel like you're about to die. Get out while you have your life. I thank you so much for listening.